So today is really interesting. I just got my third edition of Space Hulk. I've been searching all around to get a few different variation of the Space Hulk. And right now I got the third edition. I got a fourth edition, a second edition coming in. And today what I wanted to start with, it's really showing all the different models. Um, I know many people will say, well, why buy like the board game if you're not interested? And I see a lot of those models of Space Hulk, the third and fourth edition, they're basically the same, being for sale individually on the internet and on eBay anyways. And some of them can go up to $4 or up to $40, $60, depending on which model. So today I'll just do a small recap of each of them and see the difference between all of them. So what I'll do, I'll just go in the mission book. We got an explanation of each characters. What we'll do is actually find them up. So they are the heroes of the first company. So the first one is Sergeant Lorenzo. And Sergeant Lorenzo is really interesting as a model. He has the power sword, and I see something seems to be either broken to the side right here. So what I'll do, I'll flip it back to the middle and try to see if doesn't seem to be anything missing. So maybe the only problem we got right now for that white dot that is over there, and that white dot is maybe where the sprues were actually connected. Since I received them already pre-built, I have to double check all of them. And as you can see, the way the arms connect is actually just a slide in as such. I don't know if you see, we can see the peg, and basically inside the arm we got a small hole, and we just need to slip it inside of the model. But you have to be really careful because they are extremely fragile and tiny, and as you can see right now I'm having difficulty to do it. So yeah, so I'll just be careful with them for now until actually I either glue them or paint them. So this one is our primary character, the Sergeant Lorenzo. Beautiful model, a lot of detail, a lot of tiny detail, and I'm kind of scared of doing a base coat on them and lose a bit of detail, but that's going to be amazing to start painting. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to start with Sergeant Lorenzo as being the first one. The secondary character we're going to see, it's Brother Valencio. And he seems like an apothecary just because of that weapon, but I'm not too sure. I don't see any sign. And I don't see anything that says in the description that he is in fact an apothecary. So yeah, so that is the second character. They're really beautiful models. Like I said, you can move the arm just a bit, but usually it's just because they're moving on the peg and they're just not properly installed. This is really a beautiful model. Really love it. Third one is going to be Brother Gloriol. And Gloriol is really interesting because he got that spine, the head and the spine of one of the gene stealers. And we got an arm, or an hand anyways, under one of his feet. And this is beautiful because I really love models that are in the pause of action, like they're doing something, they're just not standing. In the previous version of Space Hulk, like the second edition, pretty much all the Terminators got that same standing, right? They don't seem to be in movement or doing anything. Of course, on the tabletop, it may feel weird to get Gloriol starting the battle with a skull in his hand, as if he's just carrying it around. But just the fact of all the details and that posture is really interesting. And this is one of my favorite character. I really want to paint it. So maybe I'll wait for later on to do it after I got really the touch and decide which paint scheme I'm going to use. Of course, they're going to stay Blood Angel, but this is really beautiful. All those chain around his neck, necklace, skulls. So I'll need to be really careful the way I prepare them. Really love this. Neat character. Now we got Brother Zail. There we go. So Brother Zail is another good looking character. As you can see, I got something broken right there. So I'll need to try to glue this without breaking it. And that is something, they're getting more rare to get one box not open for a good price. You can find actually a Space Hulk 3rd edition or 4th edition for like $700 or over $1,000. So yeah, I would say just make sure you get one. At least the miniatures are still in good shape. And as you can see, the top of his weapon has been broken, so I'm not too sure. It seems more like a cut, like a straight cut, like somebody. Can I focus on this? I'll try to focus. As you can see, it looks like more straight cut on it. And not sure if it's the blade or the hobby knife that actually cut through it or just broke out of the sprue, so I'll need to double check that. But beside that, it's a neat, really neat character. The only thing I realized, some heads doesn't have that much details to them, and you got those big mold line that are going to be really tricky to get. But we'll see. We'll see. It's a beautiful model, a lot of detail, extremely a lot of detail. So it's going to be fun to do, but at the same time, it's not one of my favorite. I feel it's a bit too overwhelmed of details or accessories related to it. So the next one is Brother Dino. Brother Dino seems more reasonable in terms of details and the accessories attached to him. Kind of like the scope. Like I said again, the mold line are really severe on those. So I really need to clean that up, just like the top of that backpack. But beside that, it's a neat model, just a bit of staining over that bottom plate. And I'm still not sure how I'll do the base. I saw a lot of people just putting them all black with a bit of silver to do the highlights, like if they're grates of metal on the bottom of the floor. And that would match actually if I play the board game. Actually, it would fit really properly. But I'm still not sure yet where we're going to go with those. So Brother Dino is not that bad of a model, it's more a basic one. So I admit if I have to try out some paint scheme, maybe Dino would be the first one on my list. A really interesting one is the next one. And this is Brother Gideon. So we got Gideon with the shield and all the equipment. And I really want to work on that shield. It's really beautiful. A lot of detail, not too much, not overwhelming, just enough. Maybe what I'll do like a gold around the edge and maybe a silver for that little line that seems to twirl around. So I'm not too sure yet because it seems to be related to the label. So maybe that's actually supposed to be some kind of paper. So yeah, maybe actually white instead of silver. That's going to be another interesting one to work on. That hammer is going to be amazing too with all the wires that are connected. So yeah, the back of this one is more simple, but still the front is so loaded. You don't want to attract too much attention to the back. And I just realized that the sensor array that is on the side of his head, right there, seems to be bent. So I'll have to be careful on that one. You see how quirky it is? Right there, right there. So yeah, I'll need to straight up bring that back straight without breaking it. But that's another beautiful model. Really love those. That's one of the reasons I got attracted to the Space Hulk. I know the board game was actually a really fun game, but at the same time, that was the model that was attracting me the most. And usually I will not buy a board game just for the fun of the board game. I need the pleasure of painting the whole schematic. So here we got Brother Noctis, the pointy finger. Again, more a basic model, less charge, less details. So another one maybe I'll use to do the paint scheme to begin with. Really basic, not much, just a common Terminator. We got a few seals here and there, but beside that, he's pretty common and kind of like that posture to be in the front line. So that could be interesting. We got so many characters, right? We got like 12 of them, I think. Yeah, we got 12 of them. So maybe he's gonna be on the lead. Maybe I'll do two pack of 6, and this one will lead the first pack, depending if I put it in the display. But it's a gorgeous model. Like I said, it's more a basic one, but really, really interesting. The next one is Brother Omni. So there we go. Brother Omni seems to be walking around with a sensor. So his posture is not as exaggerated as the others, and I can see the helmet is more blend the way they mold it. It's more blend with the suit. So we don't have really that beautiful line of distinction between the helmet and the suit itself. So yeah, I think it's the one that I like the least. But it's still not bad. It's still in a movement. But yeah, that one is less interesting to paint for me. So pretty much, pretty sure that those would be the cheaper one you could find online. And that's just me. Like, I'm not basing myself on the actual price or anything at all, but just thinking about the Sergeant compared to Omnio, you could see why the Sergeant would go for like 40 bucks, 50 bucks. Whoops. There we go. Compared to this one, right? We got so many details. So yeah, still having a hard time to focus when I got two miniature at the same time. So yeah, Omnio, not that great, but still a beautiful model too. It beats pretty much any basic Terminator for me, but at the same time, it's not the one that's been molded the best by Games Workshop. There we go. So the next one is CPO, like C3PO, CPO. So CPO is kind of cool. It's grabbing part of the floor and it's kind of lifting it. Or is it a drape? Seems more like solid parts. But this one, the way it looks to bend in the back, seems more like a drape. But yeah, still beautiful model, good position. I really love the fact that he's kneeling. It's not something that we see often in Terminators. So yeah, this one, even though it lacks a bit of details, really love the banner in the front. So that's going to be fun to work with. And same thing on his shin pad. So yeah, decent model. What I like the most, it's not the details or anything, but more the posture or the action that the model is taking. So that's really unique. And that is something I would put maybe on a second floor of a scenery or something. So cool model to have, really different. Brings more action to the scenery itself. So really cool. The other one, and it's the only one that I have that is broken, is Brother Leon. And this one doesn't have the flamer. He has the, I'm trying to remember the name now. the heavy, I'll call it the heavy machine gun. Really not good right now with memory. So as you can see, the peg broke inside the arm. So those models seems to be really more fragile when you look at the quality of plastic. So I'll need to glue it back together. I'll admit something, the gun is really beautiful. I really want to work on it. But the thing is, the posture of the miniature feels, yeah, he's braced to shoot, but that sideways arm with the gun doesn't attract me as much as the other one, right? So it is a good looking model, but just by the fact it's got a heavy weapon, it's not enough to attract me completely and say it's one of the best ones. He's decent. I could see people asking a bit more money just because of the heavy weapon, but beside that, it's not such a outstanding Terminator, right? For me, it just feels like a normal one with just a bit more detail here and there. But beside that, yeah, not really amazing or outstanding. A really interesting one is Calisterius the Librarian. And this one is the one that is being sold, maybe the highest on eBay. And that librarian, I believe it's really more a traditional librarian, but it's more the base that seems to attract the most people. Those skull being crushed with the weight of the metal, with the librarian standing on top of it with the axe. It's really neat. And if you look at it, you realize they did a really beautiful job for the molding on this one. They really went for the detail. There is a really beautiful division between the armor itself and the helmet. And I kind of like that. So that if we look carefully in the back, in this angle, my light doesn't really show, but you see that second step in the back with other skull. That is pretty neat and really nice looking. He's like standing down from steps, right? And in the back, we got that beautiful blood angel wings with the drop of blood in the middle, and again a row of skulls. So this one, I think, is the one that is the more searched online, or one of the one that's being sold, like I said, for really higher. But for me, it's not the best looking one. It's different. It's good looking, but it's pretty similar to any other librarian for me. But yeah, it's gonna be fun to paint though. And the last one is Claudio. And Brother Claudio is a good looking model with the claw, open arm, welcoming the enemy. Really love this. Really love this. I would put him in the front of the other pack. You remember I said we got Gideon pointing in the front line, but we'll get Claudio with the other team pointing or more facing the enemy. And this one is good looking again. If you look, the helmet and the power armor itself, or the armor of the Terminator, is actually well divided. It's not fused together. I love those kind of details. We got a few skulls here and there, a few chains. That's going to be fun to paint. And I really love this. I love the action out of him. The back doesn't have too much details, but just enough on the glove to put more attention to it. So it's a beautiful model. For me, it's one that is worth having in your collection. Just that welcoming in the front row. So if you bring your Terminators to the table and you're going for Terminators that's going to fight in melee combat, you would want a Claudio standing in front of it. And this, for me, it's really one of the model that is worth getting. So I think I confused Gideon with Noctis. Noctis is actually the guy pointing. Gideon is my other Terminator, but with the shield. So all around, the Space Hulk, if you play the tabletop or you really love tabletop, it's a really fun game. I know there's plenty of video online showing you how to play the game. There's actually Space Hulk Tactic, if I remember, on PC and consoles. That is pretty much Space Hulk 4, if I remember. Yeah, same Overwatch and etc. So it's pretty similar. So if you want to see what the tabletop look like before investing $600 or $500 to get a brand new box, or even $200 to $300 to get a box with somewhat damaged miniatures or piece of board, I would say go try first the video game to see if you like the style of it. And for me, that was really worth having in my collection. And as we can see, I completely forgot the back. So as we can see the arrows in the back. But if you look at the back, it's kind of strange because this is the bottom. This is the bottom of the mission book. And as you can see, we just got 11 miniatures showed up. They actually skipped the librarian. And that's actually pretty funny. I would have think that he was going to be one of the first one in the middle, but they seem to have skipped it. Don't know why. I'll check with the 4th edition, see if they did the same thing. But that is my interest. So I just really wanted to cover all those miniatures quickly to show you guys what they look like close and personal and see the difference in the name. So if you shop for one, you'll know exactly which name is related to which model. And for me, I can see exactly which one I prefer. They're pretty much all really amazing. Like I told you, there's 2 or 3 of them that seems more like normal Terminators. But when you get those beautiful model in action, it's really fun. And when I look at this one, I realize something. It seems that this has become the standard for Games Workshop miniature for the past few years, right? And I could see why so many people really love them compared to the good old, how can I say that, basic Terminators, just not doing much. And when I look at this, so when you get a Terminator in action like this, it's not that attractive. It is good looking, but of course when you get something like this one that is ripping off and really representing the Terminators and what they stand for, that is really the aggressiveness from the Terminator and how insanely powerful they are. So yeah, so I would say, yeah, pretty sure this one is my favorite. Oh, just trying to get it all back together. There we go. So yeah, beautiful model. Really love it. So about that, I think this will be the first one I'll paint and try to make a video out of it. I'll try to find some base because I will not paint straight the red over it, so I'll need to find a base, a red base to cover it, and then I'll start doing my paint job. So this was just, like I said, a small video to cover all those miniature from the Space Hulk 3rd edition. I'll do the same for 2nd edition. Pretty much they're all the same, but at least people will see what it look like, and I'll compare the 3rd edition with the 4th edition so you guys can actually see the difference between all of them. Now we're basically in October, so in less than 2 weeks maybe I'll start doing some orcs just to go by. So for this month I think I'll just finish with the chaplain, the metal chaplain that I'm working on and stripping, maybe paint it. Then after that I'll start doing some orcs for October to follow that October type of deal. So alright, so on this I hope you guys really enjoy seeing those different models. For me, they are worth the price, but like I said, shop around and try not to get, how can I say that, crossover on the price. Do not invest too much money for getting a Terminator from the board game that isn't really standing out much compared to others that are really making an impression just by looking at them. And having them on the battlefield would look amazing when you're playing 40k. So yeah, so perfect. On this was the video, and I hope to see you guys around.